We're going to now go on to Rebecca Wallace. So if you want to go ahead and start sharing your screen, you can. Rebecca is joining us from Georgia, if I'm correct, and has been a major player in the EDD maps as well, which obviously we've already mentioned today at least once. So she's going to give you guys all kind of a down low about, you know, what you can do with this website and how it is beneficial. Because like I said, you've already seen that at least Callie Bontrager had used it in her presentation. So with no further ado, I'm going to turn it over to you, Rebecca. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, so this will just be kind of a really quick overview of EDD maps. We do give regular webinars and presentations on each specific part of some of the things I'm going to talk about. So this is just kind of, maybe you've only just heard the word EDD maps. Here's kind of what we have to offer. My screen is being shared, right?
Yes, we can see your screen.
Okay, I don't have the green box around my monitor, so I was like, let's make sure. So I'm just going to go over mainly these top bars, these top menu options, just to, because they give a really good overview of these are the things you mainly come to EDD maps for. So most people, when they want to go to EDD maps, maybe they want to report something they saw. You can report through the website. You can also report through some of our smartphone apps. We actually have the EDD maps app, which was launched late last year and early this year for the two different Apple and Apple and Android platforms. And we also have EDD maps Pro, which is mainly for professionals. But this is what the reporting through the website looks like. So first you'll pick the type of species you're going to be reporting. And the reason we ask this is because each of these categories have slightly different forms. So we've been talking about plants so far in this webinar. So I'll just kind of show you what the plants form looks like. So we're going to go ahead and pick the state, so Indiana. And it'll just load for a second. And then this is what generally the form looks like. So there are only a few actually required fields, and they're in red. Most of these fields also have tooltips that if you hover over the question mark, it'll give you information about that. So let's just pick Japanese knotweed. You'll pick what the status of this infestation is. So positive is I saw it. Negative is I looked for it and did not find it, which is really important when you're documenting survey efforts, volunteer efforts, but also tracking the spread of an invasive species as its range is expanding. And I saw it and I treated it at that same time. So if you're actually doing polls or treatment programs, things like that, you can document that at this time. Observation date, it defaults to the current date, but you can change that. And then the rest of this information in this infestation area is optional. You can put in the area that's been surveyed, the amount of infested area, the abundance, description, so forth. And this infestation section is the one that mainly changes between the different insect, wildlife, and so forth forms. Location, so we picked Indiana to start with. We're just going to pick a random county and it'll zoom that map in on that random county I picked. And then you can either drop a point or you can draw a polygon. If you actually draw a polygon, it'll fill in the centroid, latitude, and longitude there. But if you go back up to this infested area field, it automatically fills that in. So that's really helpful. You can add additional information about the location, the land ownership. So this field, private, that's a really important field. Private governs the public visibility of the shape or coordinates you drop. So if you don't want people to know this is on private land, you would want to select this as yes. When the record is reviewed, Verifiers also have the opportunity to select yes if they know this is on private property. So there's two levels of being able to hide the exact coordinates of an observation's location. If you select yes, the record will only appear on state and county maps. It won't appear on any sort of point maps. It won't appear in shapefile downloads because there's no shape associated with it. You can add up to 5 images, and you can add additional comments. You can talk about if it's been submitted to a herbaria or museum and so forth. And then you would submit your record. When a record is submitted, I mentioned that it's reviewed. So we do have a verifier network that evaluates the accuracy of the reports. This is a little different than some other programs do, but this helps to have some quality control on the reports that come in, because we do get people submitting test records and so forth. So I'm just going to go to the distribution maps now. Most of you have seen these maps. We saw one earlier, actually. That was a county level distribution map. So you can just pick a map. So we'll just pick garlic mustard. And I'm going to pick state for that. So this shows a very broad view of the states that garlic mustard has been found in. If we go down to counties, it shows a county level map of where garlic mustard has been found in. So if you selected negative and when you were reporting that species, it won't show up here because that's a negative record. It's not actually present. And so there's one county in Ohio missing, and there's one county in Pennsylvania missing, and that's just gaps in the data. So we're always looking for help filling in these gaps. You know, there's a couple counties, few counties in Indiana missing, and I'm sure you guys would be able to fill those in. The point map, so for polygons, it puts centroids on this map. For county level records, they don't appear whatsoever. So this gives you an idea of the records that have been positively found. The negative records are displayed as well. Treated and eradicated are also on here. Eradicated is not an option if you're first time reporting a record. It's because you need to have some evidence of when it was there, not just that it was there at some point in the past. For revisits, we do have eradicated as an option. Revisits can be done through this website, but they can also be done through the EdMaps Pro app. So that map just populated there, and you can click on any of these records and go to that specific record if you did want to see it. So we'll just go check that out real quick. And this is all the information provided by the reporter for this particular record. And it tells you everything they entered, some additional information from us, as well as who verified it and how they did so. And then you can see it shows the map of where this particular species was found. One more thing I want to show you that is on some of these, but not on some others. So there are 2 types of county level maps here that you might not be familiar with. So these 2 maps, the future range and future certainty, talk about where this species will be in the years 2040 to 2060. So it gives you an idea based on up to 13 models, what's the likelihood that species will be there based off of some work done by Jenica Allen. So we'll just click on the future certainty just to give you an idea of, according to anywhere from 1 to 13 models, where they're expecting garlic mustard to be. And I can answer some more questions about this later, but there's some more to this, but I just wanted to give you guys like, oh, this is what it looks like. Species information is exactly like it sounds. You pick a species and here's some information about it. Here's potentially how to identify it. Here's some resources about it. Here's some selected images from the Bugwood Image Database. Any maps we have, including county level maps. Also, does this appear on any state species lists? Does it appear on the most common and troublesome agricultural weed list? Invasive listing sources and more. So very, very kind of quick information about these different species. The tools and training page, lots of tools, lots of training materials available. Couple things I want to show you. Most important one is really this advanced query tools. If you want to query data from us, if you want to get data back out of us, it's publicly available after it's been reviewed and made so. You can put in reporters, you can put in species, you can do whole divisions. So let's say I wanted to do insects, and let's say I wanted to see insects just in Indiana. I can fill out a lot more information, but we're just going to do this real quick. See what insects in Indiana provides us. So this provides your results up here. 80,000 plus records. Almost all of them have exact locations, so some amount of those don't have coordinates associated with them. And it's populating the map right now, so it's just showing you positive, negative, and if we do have data for it, treated and eradicated. And this will be things like emerald ash borer, brown marmorated stink bug, things like that. You can download the data as a CSV, which is kind of like an Excel file, a KML, which is a Google Earth file, or a shape file, which will actually be multiple shape files depending on if there's polygon data, line data, and so forth. The CSV will include that county level data. The other two will not, because those are actually putting points or polygons on a map, which county level data doesn't have that information. So it's going to populate for a little while, but if you click on either of these, you'll get a notification that you should look at your email, because you'll get an email with the data. Back to the tools and training. I mentioned, so on the right-hand side, there's all these different training materials, and it goes through how to use the website, how to use the apps, and so forth. We have them as PowerPoints, PDFs, there's also webinars. The other thing I want to show you is the report verifier lookup. So if we wanted to see who would review a brown marmorated stink bug record in Madison County, Indiana, these are the people that would get that email for reviewing the record. And so any one of them would have the opportunity to review that record. So you can look this up and just see, okay, well, who's a verifier for this, who's a verifier for that? And you can change it to any species you want, and it'll tell you who the verifiers could be for that. So there's a lot more tools available. I just wanted to point those few out. The last thing I'm going to talk about is My EdMaps. So it's when you go to My EdMaps, this dashboard is fairly new. It tells you for the last year, so the date range is on the top right there, what your data is. So it's for reviewed data only. So this is what you would expect to see on the actual maps that are publicly available. So I've made 14 county level reports. 11 of those have points associated with them, and it covers 8 subjects. If I zoom in on this map, it'll show where those records are. So I've got one county in North Georgia and then a couple counties in South Georgia. These are my subjects I reported, the taxa I reported. So I'm a little more insect heavy this year than plant. Some basic statistics about what I've been reporting, and my recent reports. You would be able to do your bulk uploads through here. So if your SYSMA has been collecting data for 10 years in some Excel files, you can click on the left on bulk uploads and submit that data to us, and we will help you put that in so that you don't have to put things in one by one. You can also view your downloads through here. So on this, I'm talking about this bar on the left here. You can view your downloads through here. You can do all kinds of different stuff through My EdMap. So I highly recommend you check out our different training materials that could help you figure some of this stuff out. And I can answer any questions you have as well. So I think that's about my time. I tried to go through this pretty quick. So do we have any questions?
You do have one question, at least so far. And it's a question more on the app side of it.
Yeah.
And I'll leave it up to you if you think you have time and ability to try to pull the app up now. But it says they have the, I'm going to call it Glidden app. I'm probably mispronouncing the GLED.
Yeah, Glendon or
Glendon.
Glendon. Yeah.
Well, it just confused me with the D and N. But anyways,
yeah.
Should I get Ed Maps or do they do the same thing?
So the Ed Maps app is kind of the new thing we're going to be moving towards. So historically, what happened was we had these different programs that, yeah, they wanted apps, and so they wanted to work with us. And they there were two things that kind of influenced this. One, people wanted their own branding on the apps, which is fine. So that's how we ended up with a bunch of branding when you open up some of the apps. But then also, when these apps were created, there wasn't the technology we have now, which was that you could download basically a piece of an app, and then once you made some decisions, you would get kind of an update to it. So with the old apps, you downloaded the app and you got the field guide, you got the species list, and anything that happened, like adding a new species, we would have to update the entire app. The way it is now with EdMaps and EdMaps Pro is that we can, you download the app, and it's a very small app, and then you choose your state, and it downloads the field guide for that particular state as a kind of secondary thing that happens after. And when we make an update, so say when Asian giant hornet came in, we were asked to add the species to the relevant apps. It did not require the user to update EdMaps Pro or EdMaps, but to add it to the Washington Invasives app, it required them to either manually or accept an update for that app. So things move a little faster with the EdMaps and EdMaps Pro apps in that respect. So I would say, yes, start looking into the EdMaps app, just because that's where we're going. So any other questions?
I'm not seeing any directly at this time, but if anybody wants to unmute and ask any questions, feel free to do so at this time as well.
So, and like I was saying, we do on this tools and training page, we have the EdMaps app walkthrough. So if you click on that, you can see the app as, you know, everything from how to download it, how to interact with it, and how to, this is not the right one. Sorry, I clicked on the wrong thing. Let's see. No, we have the wrong thing uploaded to that link. I'll fix that later. So, but we also have, so yeah, this one's right, the EdMaps Pro walkthrough. So this, again, it takes you all the way through how it works, how to download, how to download county data and so forth. With the EdMaps Pro app, we've actually added in, if you're a verifier, you can verify records, you can review records in the app. So if you're out in the field and something comes in, or if you're going to a certain area, you can go and actually visit those sites and review the records in field. So that's a new thing that we've rolled out for our verifiers. So, well, I'm available, Rebecca, if we have any, you know, if anyone wants to email me any questions.
I had a quick question. This is Mandy with Stickum on the app. I know with the app, I've had a few problems having it go through, and I know some of my coworkers also. Should I do the Pro? Right now I just have the regular one. Or why have you had a lot of errors with this app?
We've had a few. There are some bug reports that our programmer knows about and is working on. So if you just if you've emailed us or sent feedback through the app itself, then we'll make sure that that particular bug is addressed. So we've noticed a few things, and he's working on them. So hopefully those bugs will all be worked out very soon. The Android app has had fewer bugs. It's also been out longer, so that's potentially part of it. It's had a lot more testing that's been done, and independent people, you know, playing around with it.
Thank you. And do you recommend the Pro over the regular?
They're for very different audiences. That's why the two exist. So Pro has absolutely no field guide in it. Pro allows you to do revisits, which some people may find very, very useful, or some people may never end up using it at all. Because if you're just going out hiking, camping, whatever, then, you know, you're just going to new places. And so you're not out there doing any sort of treatments or polling or whatever. If you're a verifier, I do suggest Pro because of the in-app reviewing options. If you're part of a SISMA or something where, you know, you are potentially going to be doing some treatments, then yes, I do recommend Pro. That way you can document one population over time rather than 10 different points all stacked on top of each other.
Thank you.